The wedding of steam and steel is one of those rare combinations of beauty and utility that have a timeless appeal to the imagination. Steam locomotives were more than machines. They were destiny on wheels. Graham Claytor, Jr. Just a few hours from the dazzling lights of Las Vegas and the mountains of Salt Lake City, along the loneliest road in America, lies Ely, Nevada. Once the largest town in the state, people from all over the world flocked to Ely in hopes of striking it rich through mining or gambling. Today, the town's biggest attraction is its history, a story told at the Nevada Northern Railway Museum. Built at the turn of the last century, the railroad opened in 1907 to haul copper ore from the mines at Ruth to the smelter in McGill. The processed ore was then moved out to the Southern Pacific Railroad at Cobre and the Western Pacific at Shafter for transportation across the country. The days of copper ore being shipped by train are long gone and trucks have taken their place, but the railroad still hauls plenty of tourists behind its vintage diesel and steam locomotives. Locomotive Number 93 was built in 1909 by the American Locomotive Company to haul ore trains across the line. Locomotive 81, which is currently in the final stages of restoration, was used to haul mixed freight trains. The pride of the fleet is Locomotive Number 40, a 1910 Baldwin passenger engine built to reach speeds in excess of 70 miles per hour. In addition to being designated as the official steam locomotive of the state of Nevada, Number 40 is also well known for her other nickname, the Ghost Train of Old Ely. This name has a few different origin stories. One of the simpler explanations is the way her whistle echoes off the mountains as she travels through Robinson Canyon. Her haunting call can often be heard for nearly a minute after the whistle is blown. Another interpretation explains why the locomotive still exists at all. In 1941, the railroad received permission from the government to stop running passenger trains which hadn't been profitable for decades. Coach buses replaced the steam-powered train to provide the essential transportation to this remote corner of the state. With America's entry to the Second World War just around the corner, railroad management ordered that Locomotive 40 be scrapped. The crews who ran her just couldn't stand the thought of such an elegant locomotive meeting the torch, and instead hid the steamer. When railroad officials would come looking for it, crews would move her under the cover of night. After all, there were well over 100 miles of main line, and dozens of miles of track in the open pit mine at Ruth. When someone suggested they saw the locomotive, the railroaders would simply reply that they must have seen a ghost train. Perhaps Locomotive 40 isn't the only ghost at the Nevada Northern. White Pine County is riddled with tales and folklore ranging from the Hotel Nevada, which inspired Stephen King's novel Desperation, to the Chinese miners buried in the Chainman mine collapse, who are said to still climb the hills of Robinson Canyon every night carrying their lanterns. Even the railroad itself has countless ghost stories. All of the volunteers and employees have heard and seen things that can't be explained. Many amateur ghost hunters have come to the railroad in hopes of documenting these sightings as well. But what makes the museum such a haunted place? One possibility is the numerous grisly injuries and fatalities that happened here. Railroading was and still is dangerous work, and many men lost their lives and limbs keeping the trains running. Another reason for these hauntings might be that everything at the railroad is exactly how it has been for the last 100 years. Throughout the days the railroad hauled copper, there were many strikes and temporary shutdowns at the mine due to fluctuations in copper prices. On June 15, 1983, the employees at the railroad were told not to come into work. Everyone assumed that by the end of the week they would be back at their jobs, but as the days dragged on, it became clear that the mine and the railroad that served it were shut down for good. Because nobody knew this was a permanent closure, everything was left in place. No tools were taken, personal items were left in offices, and time simply stopped. This museum is a true time capsule unlike any other in the country. Perhaps this is why some souls never left. Maybe they're looking for closure, or maybe since the property is exactly how they remember it, they just feel at home caring about their work. Whether or not you choose to believe these legends of days past, few people are brave enough to walk around the museum alone at night. These days, the railroad is thriving as a tourist operation. Thousands of visitors from around the world make the trip over to Ely every year to experience history firsthand. In addition to taking a ride behind the train, visitors can also ride up in the cab of the engine, or even take part in the once-in-a-lifetime experience of running a locomotive. The Nevada Northern's Be the Engineer program allows guests to operate a diesel or steam locomotive on the main line either with or without cars behind it. Along with the regular excursions, the railroad also hosts various special events throughout the year. Some of these include steam photo charters in February, the Haunted Ghost Train for Halloween, and Santa's Reindeer Flyer at Christmas time. No visit to the Nevada Northern is complete without saying hello to the world-famous Dirt the Cat. Even on days that trains aren't running, there's still plenty to do at the museum as you explore the property and watch restoration work take place in the machine shop. Next time you visit the southwestern United States, be sure to make the trip over to Ely and check out the Nevada Northern Railway Museum for an unforgettable experience.